Walker, I have something to admit. Before I got the part of Grover,
Yeah.
I auditioned for Percy Jackson. Okay, well, don't laugh.
Oh, you're serious?
Yeah, no, I auditioned for Percy Jackson. Unfortunately, the people who asked me to host this podcast have decided that it would be hilarious if we all watched my tape for Percy Jackson, as if my digital footprint wasn't already bad enough.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got a bad digital
Everyone's got a
footprint
bad
these
digital
days.
footprint, but I'm so glad that this is joining it. Let's watch my audition for Percy Jackson.
He's wearing underpants.
Yes.
Isn't it weird he's wearing underpants?
Would it be weird if it wasn't? You'll pick up your scent, but there's still a chance for you to
I have
sneak
that.
away.
I tap.
You said his head?
It's been pretty. Wait.
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Robert, sometimes I think you make these monsters really intense just so I won't go near them.
Yes, that's correct.
So I
Don't look at me like
am
that.
sneaking away from really dangerous stuff just when things are starting to get interesting.
Exactly. You're starting to get really good at it.
Thanks. But seeing as there's like 4 days of school left, after a year of extreme caution, can I just please follow my gut just this once and go nuts on this monster?
Okay. All right. You asked for it.
Mm.
You approach.
Is that it?
That's
Please
it?
say that's it.
It was weird hearing you say Grover.
Yeah, it was. It didn't feel right.
It wasn't even that it was bad. You were just so polished. Like, how,
Every word was like planned. Welcome back to the final episode of the podcast for season 2. I can't believe we're at the finale. This is the culmination of everything that we've been working on for the past 4 years. So getting to talk about it has just been the greatest experience of my life. And I'm so grateful to everyone behind the camera for offering me this position, just letting me talk to some of my favorite people in the world about my favorite thing in the world. And thank you guys for watching this whole thing and for being so supportive. I would say the best part of this job, after everything that we've talked about on this podcast, is 100% the relationships that I've built doing this show and the friendships that I've created. We all met in Vancouver years ago. The first time I met Walker and Leah was at a chemistry read in the middle of Los Angeles. And that's where I met Dan and John and James Bobin. I just wanted to take a second and thank the producers for, this is so embarrassing to say in public, for giving me some of the greatest friends I've ever known in my life. My first guest on today is someone who's been my best friend for, I guess, 4 years now. And his dad likes to joke around, especially because I'm constantly in a wedding dress this season. His dad always says that we were married from the moment we met. I don't know how true that is, but I knew I liked him from the moment I met him. And I'm really glad he's not here watching me say this, because he'd be making faces at me from off camera. So I'd like to welcome on a ridiculously talented, one of my best friends, and probably the person who knows me the closest, Percy Jackson, Walker Scobell.
Were you recently in a taxi with Annabeth and like a Cyclops?
yes?
Boom! Empathy link! Has to be!
Does it? What is that?
It's a bond. A telepathic, empathic bond between a satyr and a demigod that can cut through time, space, and dreams. Super rare. It can only happen between...
Best friends.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I think the first thing that we need to talk about for 208 is making the fight, that huge fight sequence, which is, you know, a massive change from the books, and it's a huge part of the episode. I know you're pretty hands-on, especially when it comes to stunts and working with the stunts team, because they're great and they love to listen to our pitches. But what did making the fight look like?
We needed something big to end on. You know what I mean? And something to set up season 3. And I actually like the way it ended a lot. There's a little bit of
Yeah, a little bit of blood.
bloody, and Annabeth gets a little hurt, and
Shot in the arm.
it gets a little shot in the arm.
A little bit hurt. She's okay though. She'll walk it off.
It's fine. It's all fine. But that kind of stuff, I feel like I don't know. It's a big shift from everything that we've done before. You know what I mean? If you've noticed, like, there's no blood. There's always just like scrapes or like, you know, maybe little cuts.
There's no like bleeding wounds, which is a
Exactly.
huge kind of step up in violence, I guess, for us.
It's very different. It
Yeah.
sets up like season 3, what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
perfectly.
Well, it sets up what the rest of the series is going to be. Like, it's
Totally.
going to get more and more. Like, these kids are going to grow older, and the audience is going to grow older as well. But what did choreographing that entire sequence look like? Because there was a lot of rehearsals that went into both Luke and Percy's parts of it.
It didn't change too much, to be honest. I would say the only kind of difference, not difference in like the choreography, but like the way that I had to move was because I was wearing that armor.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's so like stiff because it's just a piece of like they molded our bodies for the armor at the beginning of the season, but the issue is when you're fighting, it's just like a giant piece of plastic that you can't move past this point. Were you there for a lot of the fight?
No, I would just watch
Yeah.
it on your phone whenever you like recorded it and showed it to me. For those who don't know, like we both live right next to each other. And so it was weird. We would never work together. We would never see each other during the day, but we would hang out all the time at night. And so
Yeah.
it's like I never saw you past a certain time. In the big house where we're filming this, you have your Braveheart speech.
We all grew up hearing these stories about heroes. You think that story, that quest, that prophecy, it's gotta be about someone else. But it's not. It's just us. There is no bigger hero or divine intervention to come to our rescue. We have to take care of our own, because that's what real heroes do. We stand up for each other. We stand up for our home!
It's kind of like your first big rousing speech as a leader. Because in season 1, you're like still trying to find your place. And in season 2, you get a chance to speak to younger campers, or maybe even veteran campers, and you're basically rallying them to help defend camp. And I know initially it was frustrating for you because you wanted to be able to move around the space. Like that scene in like Gladiator where he's like moving around and
Talking to
patting
everybody.
soldiers, or like in The King where he's like moving
King,
around.
yeah.
But you had to stay still for that. And even then, I think at least, even though you weren't moving, none of the performance was lost.
I don't want to force something too early on in Percy's development. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want it to be like this speech that I give that's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I needed to go somewhere. I need to be able to do an even better one in the future. So I think in a way it kind of worked that I stood still the more I think about it. Because it's not like, I don't know, he's not that confident in himself at this point.
He's like just kind of saying what needs to be said in the moment. And he's not
Exactly.
really thinking about it. But it's not something, he's not saying it as a leader. He's saying it as a camper.
That's exactly what it is. He's not like trying to lead anybody. He's just
Yeah.
trying to be like, I'm going. Can you guys
Please
come
help
with me?
Please, I want my friends. Speaking of that big battle, something that we talked about a lot, which I always thought was hilarious. The differences between Luke and Percy, when they first spot each other on that battlefield and they're approaching each other, the differences in their fighting style is so evident.
They really lean into the fact that he's like the best swordsman, like at camp, or like, you know, I guess maybe in the world at that time.
Oh, there's also Grover, but
And then Grover, but Grover is sworn to never pick up a weapon
Yeah.
ever again. But I really like the difference in the way that they fight, because it's very like, I don't know, Luke is, I don't know, he almost leads with his sword. He kind of, I don't know, his body comes second, if that makes sense. He does a lot of his stuff with his
I know what you
sword.
mean. He like whenever people are fighting him, he's not like really like using his body. He's just kind of backhanding people out of the way.
Exactly. Whereas Percy, it's like he has a sword, but like his body's doing a lot of the work. That punch in the face,
Yeah.
that was like one of my favorite, because he totally just like, I don't know, in Percy's mind, like, you know, I disarm him, I win. You know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
fight. I disarm him, I win. And I think the difference between Percy and Luke is like, when Percy disarms him, he wins, but when, you know, Luke kills Percy, Luke wins.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
It's two different fights.
two different fights completely, going in for completely different reasons.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah. Like after Luke loses his sword, he just starts punching Percy and arguably does better. But speaking of, I know you're very hands-on when it comes to not just the fights, but developing the show in general, because, you know, everyone knows you love these books. But I guess I've never really talked to you about, like, why did you like the books? Like, why did you want to do this?
I've always loved, like, you know, fantasy, like this genre.
Yeah.
I always thought that he was a 12-year-old boy, closer in age to, you know, what I was when I was reading the book for the first time. And I don't know, it just felt like the way he was talking to himself, you know, I love the fact that I don't think I would have been as into this as I am if it wasn't written in first person.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because you just get, like, I don't know, that kind of, the way he talks to himself kind of became like the way I talk to myself, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
it kind of like, I don't know, like it kind of helped me grow up in that way. Like I just always thought, I don't know how to explain it. Like
You just, like, you picked up his way of, like, seeing things and, like,
Exactly.
processing the world.
Exactly.
But what is your vision for the show?
I don't know. I always imagined it kind of, I don't know, it gets a lot darker and I like it a lot. Like
Yeah.
it felt like as I was reading, it was getting more difficult to read because it was like dealing with a lot more, you know, dealing with more complex issues. Every time I read it, I would like, you know, I'd be a little bit older and I'd kind of pick up something different from it.
Yeah.
The first time I read it, I remember like getting to like the fourth book and like Annabeth and Percy kiss there. And I was like, oh, well, you know, that's just, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't think, I was like, oh, well, maybe she just really wanted to say goodbye to him or something. No, I remember reading that and I'm just kind of moved on. And then at the end of the book, I was like, it's weird how they're like kissing again. Like, I wonder if this is like a thing. Like, I think this has to be like some kind of relationship.
Wow, so you were kind of like a genius.
I was a little bit of
a child prodigy.
a child prodigy.
Wow.
Yes.
You're so clever. As one of the final things that we talk about to bring this section to a close, I wanted to talk a little bit about, if it's okay, this is a more somber question, but you know, Percy Jackson is a huge deal, but he is just kind of a big deal for a lot of kids. He was for me, and he was for you, and this entire cast list is a big deal for a lot of kids. And we talk a little bit about it amongst ourselves, but it is like really the only way to say it is like it's freaky to think about, and it can be a lot of pressure and responsibility, even for me. And I'm not even in season 2. I'm just kind of watching. But you know, you're in every episode. You are very much the heart and soul of this show. You're like our masthead. You're like our Northern Star.
Touches my heart.
Of course. So what does that look like? How do you handle it?
It's a part of the job that you don't really ever think about. You know what I mean? Because before, like when you don't have it, it's like you never think about it. Like, oh my God, like, you know, it's just, why would I ever complain about something like that? Like, you just don't really think about that at all. You know what I mean? You just want to act. But it is like part of it, and it's a weird part of it, and it messes with everybody's life differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's so many like great like book fans that have come back to the show because of like the people who, you know, read the books when it came out and were huge fans, and then people now who are getting into the books because of the show. And so it's a very different, like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's a weird thing.
Well, it's weird just thinking like all of the people that we've worked with and all of the people watching have like grown up with us, especially like Virginia's here, and
She's grown up so much.
She's grown up so much, like right before my eyes.
She was like here when I met her.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of your parents, I have a very special guest for us. He's about to come on. We got Toby Stevens.
Toby Stevens.
Toby Stevens.
How
is
did you
about
get him? He's doing a play right now.
Yeah, he's calling us during the play. So if he's dressed like Captain Hook, you're gonna have to ignore it.
If you need extra help,
Your destiny lies elsewhere.
the great prophecy, right?
I plan to tell you myself near your 16th year, but I suppose there is no ideal age to carry the burden of deciding the fate of the universe.
Is that why you had me?
There are forces more powerful than the will of the gods, my son. Fate is one of them. Love, another.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us all the way from London.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure.
I think the first thing that I need to get out of the way before I can actually talk to you about serious things, I want to talk about your cologne a little bit, because you are very famously the best smelling man anyone's ever met in their entire life. So much so to the point where Walker and Jules, our DP, walked past you and smelled you, and it was so good that they both bought it separately, walked past each other, and were like, oh, that's the Toby Stevens.
We can't say what it is.
We
though.
can't say well. The
gatekeep it.
last bottle actually belongs to Toby, and it blew up. The factory blew up, so you can't get it anymore.
Well, I suppose being the best smelling person is a lot better than being the worst smelling person. So
Yeah, a
I'll
little
take
bit.
that.
Depends
I'll
who
take
you
that
ask.
compliment, and I'm very flattered that Walker is now smelling like me.
He still uses it. It's
Every day.
It's a famous. It's like genuinely something that everyone talks about, even when you're not here. I guess the biggest thing that we have to talk about for episode 208 is you and Tyson finally meeting. All three of you guys have that big dream sequence, which I wasn't there for, so I had to watch it as a fan.
Tyson, look at me. The forge of my brother Hephaestus is hidden in the deep of my domain. We have need of your skills to craft weapons for the war to come.
Yes. Yes, sir.
If you need time to think it over,
I'll go.
I mean, it was really nice to get to meet Daniel, because I hadn't met him yet, and he's a wonderful guy. And it was also fun just seeing the two boys together, and having that moment of sort of sibling, the sort of sibling thing that goes on between them, which is nice.
Every scene I do with Toby, it's like I can kind of like relax into it. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Every other scene in the show, it's like energy, 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 energy. And then every scene I have with like Toby is like, it's like almost like, I don't know.
It's tension because of who your dad is, but it's also the only time where you can like drop your sword and be okay not having it.
What is great about the writing is that there's an intimacy between the two of them. There's like a closeness, even though they don't, they don't know each other, like a normal father and son. But there is this immediate intimacy that they have together, and a kind of closeness when they talk. And I think that's really nice to play.
I think it's funny the difference between your guys' relationship and every other parent-child relationship that we see in the show, because the only other one we see is Ares and Clarice, but then we also have Zeus and Thalia, and you guys have a very different relationship. Do you think it's because of, like, Poseidon sees how terrible of a father Zeus is and how terrible of a father these other gods are, and because they're like his siblings and his nieces and nephews, he wants to be better?
I think there's probably that as well, but I think there's also a fact that he genuinely loves his mother. I think there's a love there that and a sort of sadness that it couldn't be something. They can't be together for obvious reasons, but that he genuinely did love the mother, and I think he also has, because of that, he has a genuine fondness and interest in Perseus. I think he's got in Percy. I think he has a genuine connection with him. And also, I think he's seen how he struggled previously. He struggled in his life, and I think that there's a closeness there that is, I think, in the scenes anyway. But I think that he genuinely does care about him and about his mother as well.
In one of the episodes, Tyson admits that he prays to his parents to have a friend sent to him. And he believes that friend was Percy, and that's how he basically joins Percy and Sally's family. Do you think that Poseidon sends Percy and Sally his way after hearing that, or was it just like a coincidence that he ends up living with his brother?
I think probably there's a deliberate thing in putting them together. I mean, what do you think, Walker?
I don't know. It always confuses me because it's like he had Tyson before, they kind of need him in a way. So is it like he just kind of decided to bring them together at a certain point, or was it always the plan to have somebody to help Percy?
Well, I'm sure Daniel isn't the only Cyclops child, or the Cyclops half-brother that Percy has. Every Cyclops is technically his half-brother.
Polyphemus.
But the fact that he chooses Daniel or Tyson specifically to help you, I think is interesting.
I think he needs somebody who's just, because Polyphemus is a little bit like, I don't know, he's kind of smart. You know what I mean? And not that Tyson's not smart, but like he's not like scheming against Percy in any way. Like everything he does is very honest.
Yeah, well, he's just like has a childlike innocence about him. Like he's not jaded, or he's not like, he doesn't hate the world.
There's no side or angle.
Yeah. I also wanted to talk a little bit about kind of a defining moment in the series, and a huge change for us from the books, where Poseidon sacrifices his honor to save Percy. Because in the book, like, we get the Master Bolt there on time, and a similar thing happens, but the stakes are higher here because Percy fails. And by all means, his father doesn't need to be there for him, but Poseidon decides to step in and save his son. Wait!
I surrender. What? I surrender.
How does that change their dynamic between, before and after that happens, or even between the books and the show?
Well, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think it shows he sort of shows his hand there, Poseidon, in the fact that he genuinely does care, in that he will, that it's a big thing for him to do for his son, and I think it's a spontaneous thing. I don't think it's something that's premeditated. It's an instinctual thing that he does for his son, and it sort of shows his hand.
I think it's also like that conversation I have where it's like we have where I ask him like if he dreams about, if he dreams about my mom, and like he kind of says yes. So I think that's like in my mind for this version of Percy, like in a way, that's enough.
Of course we dream. Why do you ask?
Do you ever dream about Mom?
And here's the thing, like Percy's like he just can't accept the fact that like the gods are not all good.
He can't accept the fact that they can't change.
Exactly.
Which is literally what he does in the last book.
Exactly. Yeah. I think he kind of sees like there could be something else in Poseidon.
Yeah.
There could be something that's genuine.
Yeah.
After meeting like Ares and Hermes, who are all playing at like a different angle and like, trying to get something out of us. I feel like he just does
Genuinely
this
wants to help.
because he wants to save his son.
Yeah. Toby, I wanted to talk a little bit more about playing Poseidon, because playing a king is inherently a difficult thing to do. Like, there's that old theater adage where it's like, you can't play the king. You have to just believe that everyone sees you as one, or believe that the court sees you as one. I guess, how do you play a king? Especially because all of your scenes are with just your son and with your siblings who have similar power. Like, you don't really have a court to be the king against.
Exactly right. You can't play being a god. And if you do, it's gonna fail. Really, it comes from the very name itself, and the fact that you are treated in a certain way by the people around you, and also the fact that the gods. What I like about the Greek gods is rather than being sort of these immaculate, omnipotent people, they're actually fallible. They're fallible and they have human traits and they have the worst human traits often and the best human traits, but they can be all of these different things at the same time. They're neither good nor bad. They're like any human being, they are both. They just have these immense powers. So I mean, I suppose the thing is, you just play them as a normal person, and the fact is that they do have all of this power, and they are called, he is called, Poseidon. I just think he has a gravitas and a kind of weight to him that is always there. But I think he does, he has all these human traits and emotions, but I think he obviously finds it hard to talk about them or to kind of be obvious about them because of his status and because of the fact that he's a god and Perseus is not a full god. There is a distance between them in that respect.
I don't think it's hard to imagine you as a god. I think you have the presence just kind of naturally for it.
And the smell.
And the smell.
I certainly smell like one.
And the smile. I know that obviously your kids are fans of the books, but what made you come to this? Was it just the fact that your kids had read the books, or?
And it was a combination of things. I mean, I think it was the fact that my son had read all the books and absolutely loved it and was so excited at the prospect of me being involved in it. But also, my stepfather wrote. He wrote the film the original version of Clash of the Titans, which is obviously the story of Perseus and everything. And so it was very much part of my childhood, growing up, Greek mythology and all of that. So it was great when the opportunity came.
And not to put you on the spot, Toby, but what is it like to work with Walker? Because for me, it's not been good. It's been an awful experience all around for me. Has it been any different for you?
Well, I'll be honest. It's really great. I actually genuinely really look forward to, I mean, I think from the first time I walked on set and I met all of you guys and just entered into your world, it was such a lovely experience, and all of you it's such a great sort of family you've got going there. And I had great fun with Walker immediately, and I kept on having to sort of remind myself, like, actually, Walker is only. What were you at that? At what age were you at that time?
Well, I mean, season 1, probably 14.
Yeah. And I kept on having to go, okay, because I just got on really well and with Walker, and I kept on having to kind of check myself and go, I can't relax too much. I've got to be an adult here,
It's just so much fun, and I feel like I always come out of it learning so much. And you always do something that, like, some random little thing in the scene that it always gets, I don't know, I always have a similar line later on, and I get to, like, kind of do that. Does that make sense?
It's great because every time I do a scene with Walker, I'll get to a point and then he starts imitating what I'm doing.
And I'm really good at
it. And it's great. It really kind of grounds me because
he does it when you're
I
not
get it
here
played
too.
back at me.
Every single time we have a conversation, I feel like in a different scene later on, I just copy another one of your mannerisms, randomly.
Yeah.
Dan sent me a whole kind of thing. He said, "Oh, Walker does the best impression of you," and sent me this video of you doing like a scene that I'd done.
Can we throw to that clip?
Obedience does not come naturally to you, does it?
No. Sir.
I suppose I might take some of the blame for that. The sea does not like to be restrained. He should be going. Boom. Scene.
I know I didn't really get to, I wasn't there for a lot of the Olympus stuff, and that was just you, Walker, and Lance. And I guess I never really, it was one of those things that I watched as a fan, and I got to meet him a little bit, and he was great, but you actually got to work with Lance Reddick, and Courtney B. Vance is incredible, and he's such a good addition to the show, but what was that like? Because he was the perfect Zeus, I think.
I'll have Athena set a meeting. The whole council. We'll declare my swift and crushing victory. And then discuss family business. Make sure I never see this one again.
He was wonderful, and he was. I mean, that's I always remember coming in to that first season, and it was really just me, Lance, and Walker on set for. It seemed like quite a long time. It was days, and it was really great because he was such a nice guy, and he had so much experience as well. He was such an experienced actor, and he had so many interests in theater and all kinds of areas of it. And I got to talk to him and hang out with him, and it was such a privilege to get to work with him and get to just hang with him for a while. And it was a terrible shock, because one of the last things I said to him was, I'm really looking forward to doing more stuff with you, and I really hope we get some more scenes. And then it was only a few months later that I received a call saying that he'd passed, and it was just so shocking and very sad, a real loss.
One of my favorite things that I saw on season 1 was when you guys had that scene where you catch his arm and you have a little conversation, then you talk in like ancient Greek a little bit.
Petros. Ares, Hades, Hermes Debu, Togarun, Oipandas.
They just went for it right away, you and Lance, and you just like went all out 100% and didn't even like think about it. Like that was just part of it. And that was such a awesome thing to watch, because normally it's like, you have to remind yourself and get yourself into it. And a lot of people, when they come on like the set, it's we're always doing some random, there's always some random problem that's happening or something, what I mean? That will never happen. Exactly. But you guys just immediately went for it.
What was wonderful as well is you really did believe he was Zeus.
Oh, yeah.
He's such a kind of imposing, he was so sort of handsome and kind of imposing and had this charisma that I was like, right, okay, yeah, I buy it, totally.
Walker told me a story after you guys wrapped that day, and Lance was working, and they were like, yeah, could you be nicer? And they were like giving him direction to be less of like a god, because he was just like too imposing.
He was like too terrifying.
Yeah.
But he's so nice.
But he's so nice.
Yeah, such a nice guy.
Yeah.
It was like the switch up was insane.
Yeah.
I couldn't comprehend it. Where he would go from like standing over me in like the most terrifying way, and then you just snap into like, how you doing? Like, oh my God, like you're talking about his dogs, and it was, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for joining us.
It's an absolute pleasure. It's great to see you guys.
Okay, say it.
You drool in your sleep. It has been weird interviewing someone who I'm very close to. With everybody else, it's like, I don't know. Like, I guess I only really know them in a professional sense.
Yeah.
Well, even the cast members, it's been weird. But with you, it's like we're literally probably gonna like hang out after this.
We will.
I wanted to talk about something that we haven't really gone too in depth to, especially going into season 3. I feel like we just have to talk about this. Thalia is back at the end of episode 8.
Where's Annabeth?
In the book, she's really only in that one scene.
Yeah.
We get to have all these great flashbacks of her, and I think I actually like that a lot. You know, you get to see young Grover, young Annabeth, young Luke, young Thalia. So kind of like, I don't know, you get to see more of their past together, which makes it even more meaningful when Thalia comes back.
And literally the first encounter that you guys have is she electrocutes you until you pass out, just on accident. And then when you wake up, the first time you see her again is in this.
An accident.
It wasn't an accident. She
Started
aimed for
it.
you on purpose.
Yeah.
But then after, the first interaction you guys have when you both regain consciousness is this like old school, like Western standoff in the big house.
Where is he?
You guys get nightmares, right? Not like mine. Because mine just woke up.
And she literally, literally and metaphorically takes Annabeth from you. And it's this like standoff that just never gets resolved. And then we just go straight into season 3.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is, I like that cutoff a lot.
Me too. It's really difficult to talk about Thalia without talking about season 3. And it's just been such a pain doing this and not being able to talk about season 3 because we are filming it right now. We're on, we just finished block 1. We're on episode 3. We have a lot of pretty cool castings this season.
Artemis,
Daphne, yeah.
Lady Artemis.
Bianca and Nico.
Oh, of course.
Olive
Nico
and Levi.
Bianca.
They had their inaugural get soaked and drenched in water scene.
They were hazed into the Percy Jackson cast.
Yeah, that's kind of how all of us become members of the Percy Jackson team.
You have to be soaked at some point.
Yeah,
It's
we
just
all
the
have to be
thing.
drenched in dirty, filthy water.
Yep.
At some point.
Happened to them the other day. I've never been prouder.
I was talking to Andrew. Shout out Andrew McElroy, our incredible acting coach. I was talking to him about this the other day, but whatever Andrew and Dan and the entire team had to do for us in season 1, and like basically bring these kids into Camp Half-Blood, we're doing that now for Olive and Levi, and it's so weird, and I don't like it at all because I'm not at all ready to
I feel old.
I feel old, but I also feel not old enough to be someone that these kids look up to. You know?
I'm in school with them, and it's just me, Olive, and Levi, because Leah's gone. I'm complaining more than they are. They sit there. I feel like they're supposed to look up to
dude,
me.
You're like not
And
a
I'm
good
like,
role
I'm
model.
like, I don't want to do that. Like, why do you make me do school? And they're just sitting there, like, looking at me, doing their work quietly. And I'm like, I feel like I'm the, like,
Child.
I'm the child.
Yeah. No, you like actively fight to get out of school.
I'm okay. I'm sorry. I mean, my teacher's sad. It's right outside, and
Levi-
he's really great. I cannot tell you how many times I've like been on the verge of like freaking out, just getting angry because you have a big scene to do, a lot of emotions, and then like in between every take, it's like you need to get your school in like 20 minutes, and it's like you can't do anything in 20 minutes. And by the time you settle down after 20 minutes of being there, and you're finally ready to do work, they pull you back. And then you have to get back into like the scene, and it's like they're so good at just going back and forth. Like that's something I've never been able to master.
What's some other stuff that we can spoil about season? What was something that you were really looking forward to bringing to life in season 3? Oh my God! And we're doing all the Smithsonian stuff
That
this
was what I
week.
was gonna say.
I mean, come on.
Oh my God, the Overlook too.
Yes. Yeah. That scene. People who have read the book will
Thorne?
know. Dr.
David?
Thorne is incredible.
Dude, he is so good.
He's also just such a chill guy. He's
Oh
so
my,
funny.
he's hilarious.
We were like
Yeah.
vlogging, and he was swearing a lot more than I'm going to, but he was like, you think you could just bring your friends into my school? What's wrong with you? And we were just like rehearsing the scene, and so he's like doing whatever. And he's like, and I would try and get my line out, and he's like, shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Actually, bow, matter of fact. And he would just like start improving, and he's so funny.
He's hilarious, dude.
Dude, can we talk about that? I get to play the panpipes.
Oh my God.
I
I'm
learned
so
in the
happy we
jungle.
added that.
I
I was
learned-
so worried after season 1.
This is something that we both basically pitched to the writers, and they added it in.
Well, there were 2 requests for season 2, if I remember, from season 1. 1, panpipes. 2, shirtless scene.
Almost got there with the toga. 3, blood, and we got that.
So we really only got like 2 of the 3 things that we really wanted.
But it's okay.
I wanted a shirtless scene. I wanted to be shirtless.
We can get one in 5. We watched, we like ordered in like Thai food, and we watched the first Percy Jackson movie and then the first season of Percy Jackson, the TV show, the hit TV show,
Yeah.
now streaming on Disney Plus, season 2. We watched the first season of that together, and it was a surreal experience.
In different languages too. I got to hear our like dub
forgot about
version
that. Yeah.
in like French and German and like
I will say, I think season 2 was a huge learning experience for me, especially getting to, train under the camera crew during the Ironclad stuff, which is something that we've got to talk about still. All of the Ironclad sequences.
that was so fun. He was like he was a camera trainee for like a whole week.
Yeah, can we talk about your abuse to me on set?
Well, first I'm gonna talk about how you were there every day for a week, and like he was there, I think like all day from start to finish. He got there when they started, and then he would leave when they finish. And like, I don't think I've ever seen him so exhausted. And because we thought like, oh my God, we're so tired. Like,
Yeah.
everything's so difficult.
No, dude, we have like the easiest job in the world.
And then he did exactly like after a week, like I normally I call him after work. I'm like, you want to go get some like dinner or something, whatever. No, man, like I'm gonna go right to bed. I think it's one of those nights, whatever. For the entire week, like I don't know how anyone on the crew has a real life for the hours. It's insane. We are so lucky to like.
Yeah. What's like a specific scene that you were the most proud of?
I thought the scene on the beach was single combat. That was fun.
Yeah.
Because it was a callback to season 1.
Yeah.
But it was also like, I don't know, season 1's single combat was more like, this is like last resort. I don't know what to do. And season 2 single combat was more like, let's have some fun while we, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like, it was almost like
You're daring Clarice.
Exactly. Like, let's go. I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of, it's things like that where I get to do that, and then it kind of just like sets me up for the rest of the season.
Well, in season 3, you definitely develop a lot. For anyone who's excited for season 3, you should be. Everyone's way cooler, especially Percy.
Yeah.
It's kind of awesome.
Or farming now.
Yeah. But thank you so much for being here with me. I'll see you in season 3, dude.
I'll see you in season 3.
Watch and listen to the Percy Jackson and the Olympians official podcast, available on Disney Plus and wherever you get your podcasts. And don't miss Percy Jackson and the Olympians, now streaming on Disney Plus.